All rise and shout. Let's get to what's trending.
6-yard line, the 5, the dive, the touchdown! And the Cougars have recovered! BYU football! Touchdown Cougars!
What's trending presented by Tim Daly Nissan, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Cougar football have lost 4 straight and are sitting at 5-6. One final chance to get win number 6 and to get bowl eligible. All they have to do is go on the road, Jarom, and beat a ranked Oklahoma State team in Stillwater against a Cowboy squad that's merely playing for a spot in the Big 12 championship game, so they don't have much to play for, right? No. The Cougars have not been great on the road outside of that road opener at Arkansas. It has been tough sledding for the Cougars in Big 12 play away from Provo.
Sledding in Utah.
Yeesh, you're right. It's getting cold. Yesterday, we asked ESPN's Trevor Matich if BYU does not beat Oklahoma State and therefore does not make a bowl game, would it be considered a failure? This was his response.
I would say it's not a failure. It's disappointing because I think BYU fans and the players and coaches themselves expected to get the 6 wins. And if they don't get this 6th win, it will be disappointing. But it's not a failure.
Jarom, I'm going to ask you the same question after listening to Trevor Matich again. If BYU does not get to a bowl game and get 6 wins in year 1 as a Power 5 football program, is this season a failure?
It's an interesting question because my initial response is absolutely. Like, making a bowl game is always going to be the program standard. This isn't some low-level G5 program that is just hoping for a bowl game and supplement its, athletic scholarship numbers and blah, blah, blah with money. No. This is BYU. Like, BYU's won a Natty. They've won a Heisman. They have high standards. So probably, yeah. But I do want to look at a couple of things with the schedule that sort of frame how this season is a little bit more. So obviously winning half your games doesn't feel like that hard, but it's hard when you're in a Power 5 league, as we've talked about. BYU had it Saturday, by the way. I'm still not over Saturday.
I don't think people will be for a long time.
Couple of things. Let's talk over this graphic here. So BYU's 5-6, 4-game losing streak, one of the longer losing streaks in college football. The record of the opponent in wins wasn't good. BYU beat the teams it should on the schedule. The record of the opponent in losses, pretty stinking good, 67%. Sagarin tells us BYU has the 7th toughest schedule in college football. 3rd in the Big 12, by the way. Texas 2, Kansas 4.
Yep.
Wins versus teams with winning records. Texas Tech. If Texas Tech doesn't win this week, BYU didn't get a win against a team with a winning record. So that's hard. And this pointed out by Cougar Stats this morning. BYU played 8 of the top 9 teams in the standings.
Yes, that's what we were talking about yesterday.
Cincinnati.
I presented to you. I'm like, why couldn't BYU have
crazy,
Houston
right?
or Baylor or somebody like that instead of Iowa State or at West Virginia?
So if you took out the BYU games against those opponents, like, oh, okay, well, BYU helped the winning record of those teams that won, did they not? It's still 63%. And the losers, the teams that BYU beat, it's still 42%. So the front half was way easier than the last 5, right? So with that in mind, failure feels like a strong word for this, given how hard this schedule was. Like, put the 20 and 21 teams against this schedule, and I'm not sure if they're more than 2 games better. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like 7-ish, maybe 8 wins. Like, put the 1984 national championship team against this schedule, and they're losing 3-4 games. This is a hard one. The week-to-week grind has been hard. We wanted this. We welcome this. We got punched in the mouth. We're taking it like a champ. It's all good. BYU doesn't win Saturday. You regroup, and you grow from there. Again, 2 of the first 3 years in the Pac-12, Utah was 5-7. Like, it's not like they were immediately successful. Like, it took them 11 years to win the league. Is BYU on a similar track? Perhaps. I would love to get to the point where BYU's top 25 perennially and competitive and competing for conference championships. It takes a sec. Like, failure feels like too strong of a word, but obviously making a bowl game is always the standard. But this schedule's pretty stinking tough.
It is brutal. And again, when I first heard Aaron Roderick say, this is the toughest schedule in BYU football history, I was like, come on. Look at 2004, which was ridiculous. It was 11th in the Sagarin ratings. And then you look at 1991, and Ty Detmer had to play to open the season #1 Florida State, and then ranked Penn State on the road, and ranked UCLA, and had to play #7 Iowa late, and had to play ranked San Diego State and Marshall Falk. But even those schedules were not rated, at least in the Sagarin marks, as tough or as highly as the schedule is this year. The schedule is tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. We didn't think it was going to be this tough.
No, we knew it was going to be difficult.
If we knew it was this tough, I would have said 5-7.
Jarom, especially
I would have said 4-8.
after Iowa State lost at home to Miami, and then Oklahoma State lost at home
Of Ohio.
to South Alabama 33-7. We're sitting back. BYU's 4-1, and we're like, oh yeah,
Bowl game's locked
BYU's
in.
going to a bowl game. Like, they're going to get to a bowl game. Awesome. Check.
Little did we know how tough this would become.
All of a sudden, Oklahoma State and Iowa State become two of the better teams in the conference. They figure it out, and it all changes so fast.
And Iowa State's fallen off quite a bit. But 04 and 91, the highs were higher. Like, you played more good teams, like high-end teams. It's the week-to-week grind.
Yes.
That
10
has
Power
been
Fives.
predictably hard.
10 Power Fives. So I can't sit here and say that if BYU doesn't beat Oklahoma State and doesn't get 6 wins and earn the right to play in a bowl game, that, yes, you know what, they did it. It's okay. Like, in that singular item, you either did or you didn't. So I don't know how it's a pass or fail scenario. Like, in that singular item, just because you say if you didn't get to a bowl game doesn't mean like there's nothing good that happened in the season, but you failed in that line and that item, right?
Yeah.
BYU, I'm going to make a parallel. I'm going to draw a parallel here, a comparison. Let's say you're on a golf course and you got a 4-footer for par. BYU's 5-2. They got a 4-footer for par. Okay, all right, okay. So feeling good, like, yeah, I'm going to step up. I'm going to make this par putt. But then you read the green and like you see what's ahead of you, and you're like, oh man, that's a pretty significant slope I'm actually on. I know this is a short putt, but this is actually a difficult 4-footer. If BYU does not beat Oklahoma State on Saturday, then this is the putt that lips out on the edge and doesn't go in. You tap in for both.
And trickles down the hill.
Right.
And then you probably
It's
putt from there.
Am I going to make a bogey now? Like, I gotta make this now.
Yeah.
Or the slope is so significant that we're done. We're staring at a double bogey. This is the scenario that BYU's worked themselves into, unfortunately, by not beating Oklahoma, where they could have, drained the putt confidently and not had to worry about the final week. Okay, all right, on to the next. That is not the case.
What was the 4-footer for BYU, if you will? Because you know what I mean. At TCU,
I'm just saying, when you're 5-2, maybe you feel like you're going to do it. But
maybe you've drained a couple of 8-footers, and you're like, oh, I can do this.
But they were flat.
Yeah.
This is a 4-footer on the side of a hill on a crazy green, and it's just it's more difficult than it looks.
There's not been a 4-footer left though for BYU. Like,
I'm talking about the remainders. Like, that's how people felt.
Yes.
At 4-1 and 5-2, we were like, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
It's now become a little bit dire. If BYU doesn't beat Oklahoma State, then yes, it's pass or fail. They have failed in one of their goals, one of their immediate goals. Every coach, every player,
that is the first
every
goal
staffer
of the
has
season.
said, win 6 games, get to a bowl game. So if they don't, how can we say, yeah, it's not a fail? Like, yeah, you failed in that regard, but it doesn't mean the whole season is a wash.
If BYU in the next 2 years can get to 8 games and they build off this and they learn certain lessons that they needed to learn because of this, and like, ultimately there will be personnel changes based on how certain things did not go. That's how college football is. Then maybe it was worth it. Like I've said, it was worth it to go 4-9 in 2017 because then you got Zach Wilson in 2018. Like, sometimes the forest burns down, but it grows back way more beautiful and lush.
What's the turnaround after this season if BYU doesn't get to a bowl game?
That is the case here.
All right.
Like, we didn't like 4-9, but it was worth it for 2020, 21, 22. It was worth it.
BYU's staring at a reality of losing 5 straight games to end the season for the first time since the mid-1950s. Our question of the day, how differently will you feel about the season if BYU makes a bowl game or does not? Hiram Flake on Instagram
like
answers.
A super BYU name right there.
It'll validate that BYU was the best of the 4 new schools in the Big 12 if they win. A winning season in the first year of Power 5 is nothing to look down on, certainly.
Right.
It just so happens that BYU has to face a ranked opponent on the road who is 8-3 and playing for a spot in the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, BYU still might be the best team among the newbies without it. Like UCF 5-6.
UCF has the best win, I would argue, of anybody of the newcomers in the Big 12, crushing Oklahoma State.
For sure. Houston 4-7, Cincinnati 3-8. Yeah, it would have been nice to play Baylor, Houston,
please,
or UCF,
or even UCF. Come on.
Did not get them.
Ugh.
Topic 2. Yesterday we asked Trevor about which quarterback he thought would give BYU the best chance to beat Oklahoma State.
I still think Kedon Slovis is the best option if healthy. And it's nothing against Jake. He has a bright future. If it weren't for his performance, BYU would not have been close enough to might have won that game against Oklahoma. So I don't take anything away from him. I don't point the finger at Jake Retzlaff. Even though he made some mistakes in terms of turnovers, he did a phenomenal job that kept them close enough that those mistakes actually mattered instead of just piling on to other things. But Kedon Slovis has a better feel for the offense. He has a better feel for big road games and how to deal with adversity and how to distribute the ball and get the rest of the playmakers engaged.
Okay, certainly when it comes to experience, there's no question. When it comes to athleticism in the run game, but the volatility of takeaways or giveaways, Jake Retzlaff, right, brings a different dynamic in both regards. So what's your opinion on this question of who gives BYU a better chance to beat Oklahoma State?
This is tough because as we look at what's happening on this graphic, you see Jake Retzlaff's numbers and his ability to push the ball down the field are not nearly where Kedon Slovis has it. But Kedon Slovis faced the easier part of the schedule, and Retzlaff has opened up against West Virginia on the road, Iowa State at home, and Oklahoma at home. So those statistics are definitely weighted to a degree. I don't believe that Kedon Slovis is 100%. I don't see how all of a sudden his shoulder and his elbow are just magically 100% and he's ready to go. And we learned, and I say that because we learned that Aaron Roderick is not going to put him out there unless he is 100% cleared and ready to go. I don't
good
think
enough,
he is.
right?
Right. Yeah, I don't think he is.
No one's going to be a hundy, but at this point.
If I believed that he was, sure. Throw Kedon Slovis out there, try and push the ball down the field, and maybe in 3 drives it goes terribly wrong for BYU's offense. And at that point you're like okay, it's not working. We're going to run Jake out there. I think the opposite is going to happen in this game. I think they're going to start Jake Retzlaff, and I think they should, because remind me, what has BYU's rush offense done the past 2 weeks with Jake Retzlaff at quarterback?
Good stuff.
They had their 2 best rushing performances of the season.
Yeah, but the volatility of the turnovers is a big deal.
I get it, but
in the offense.
The offense is notably more dynamic in the run game because you have to respect Jake Retzlaff's running ability.
No one's questioning that.
Okay? So it opens up the run game. It'll be way better in the run game if Jake Retzlaff is the quarterback. The risky run is what you bring up. Is he going to turn the ball over? Because he's turned the ball over 5 times in the last 2 games.
Is that worth it?
If he can take better care of the ball and there's better ball control, then the run game is better. Then, all right, now BYU's got a shot. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to run Jake Retzlaff out there and have Kedon Slovis very close by. If Jake Retzlaff turns the ball over early, then I could very easily see, all right, okay, as good as the run game is, we can't keep turning the ball over. We're going to run Kedon Slovis out there and see what happens because statistically, he just doesn't give it away nearly as much. Not saying Kedon is perfect that way because, I mean, there have been some doozies, right? There have been some terminal turnovers that he's been responsible for too. But right now, I would start Jake, hope that he can take better care of the ball, leave that dynamic run game on the field, and I believe BYU has a chance if, and I know it's a huge if, he doesn't turn the ball over. Because Aiden Robbins is going, that offensive line has finally found a rhythm. I mean, do you disagree? Like,
I don't care who it is, just score touchdowns. Like, if it's Jake, take care of the ball.
Who gives him the best chance, though, is the question, straight up.
Hopefully BYU can run without Jake. Like, Kedon can get the ball out quick. Kedon can avoid interceptions. Like, he does some stuff that's totally plausible.
Agreed.
You don't have to have Jake be able to run the ball effectively.
I don't know if I agree with that.
To run the ball effectively? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think
I don't really care. Just score touchdowns. Just get to 400 yards for once this season. Like, I'm super frustrated that this hasn't
Is
happened
BYU
yet.
capable of running the ball effectively with Kedon Slovis as the quarterback? They have shown us that they are not
also
really able to do that.
Kedon can throw it more effectively than Jake.
100%.
Like, so you can make up for that, right? In theory. I don't know. BYU's 5-6. They got probs. There's no clear-cut answer to this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a question.
I think we might see both quarterbacks on Saturday.
Yeah, both have some really
don't.
good attributes, which is exciting. Yeah, and Jake, hopefully in a fourth start, can get a win here. Let's go.